Greetings one and all, this is Hairy Nick, back again to talk about some new X-Wing spoilers, because AMG are not done talking about the Rogue Class Starfighter, and I'm guessing the Z95 Headhunter as well. We'll probably get another update for that one in a few days' time. For the time being, we have some more Separatist pilots for this ship, in the form of General Grievous's MAGNAGUARD, the IG droids, the OG IG, you might say. And before we dive into the pilots, let's just quickly remind ourselves that we did have a little spoiler for some generic cards for this ship, so while analysing these pilots, it's worth mentioning that, hey, they can all take proton cannons, at least, we're assuming these all can. And also, it's worth having a think about Xanadu Blood. Now, I would wager that most of these Separatist pilots won't get access to the title based on the design of it. If I had to guess, I'm going to say both Cad Banes and probably most, if not all, the Scum pilots will get access to this. Interestingly enough, unlike the other Rogue Class Starfighters with the Dead to Rights ability baked in, which gives you a bit of a offensive boost when your opponents are inside your bullseye firing arc, these pilots have instead been given network calculations, the same one that we see on so many droid ships in the Separatist army. While you defend or perform an attack, you may spend one calculate token from a friendly ship at range 0 to 1 to change an eyeball result to an evade or a hit. Essentially, you're using your friend's calculates to do the same thing that you'd always use calculate tokens for. Before we get into these pilot abilities, it's worth having a bit of discussion over whether or not that's better or worse than Dead to Rights. It's a little hard to say because you do get a bit of a bonus on defense. Whether or not just improving your dice overall is better than, negating what your opponents can do with their dice. I think on balance, my assessment is Dead to Rights is probably better in a vacuum, but network calculations is better the more you build around it. So probably flying these guys alongside each other is going to be very, very beneficial. If not, flying them alongside a Vulture Swarm for what that's worth. I don't know whether or not these guys will get like tactical relays and that kind of thing. We've had no tactical relays spoiled for this pack so far, so that leads me to think that they won't be able to take them. But if they can, I think that's sort of a big tick for these IG droids. It would make sense that only these particular pilots would get access to that, as well as network calculations. It kind of falls into that design space. And that's really cool. At that point, it's kind of just a Vulture with more health and a better dial and all that kind of stuff, with a really big cannon as well. Alright, let's start off with this, IG-111, probably the most unique out of all of these. Initiative 1, after you perform an attack that missed, you may choose one enemy ship in your bullseye arc and gain a deplete token. If you do, that ship suffers 1 damage. It's definitely worth saying that, hey, automatic, non-defensible damage, you just get a damage, that's it, no questions asked, is always a very powerful effect in this game. But you are also asking a lot of this ship in that it is Initiative 1, and it has to get a ship in its bullseye arc and miss. Well, I guess if it's missing, then that's fine. If it hit and you don't trigger this ability, then you're already making a ship suffer damage, so that's cool. The cool thing here is, though, you could theoretically pick a ship to attack at range 1 and miss at range 1, and then you can just pip a ship right in the back of your opponent's formation and make them suffer a damage. That's a fun bit of upside, which is a little magical Christmas land thinking, but it's very, very powerful. I just don't know about its consistency. Doesn't really seem to work alongside what the ship wants to be doing. It doesn't seem to benefit from taking the cannon. I guess another network calculation ship flying alongside your Vultures. Maybe if you want to invest an extra point in one of these, say you take a swarm of Vultures, and if this comes out at 3 points, and you've got a point spare on your list, you upgrade a Vulture to one of these. That seems okay. It's just fairly underwhelming. I really do want to talk about these other pilots a bit more. Starting off with the Initiative 4 IG-101. At the start of the system phase, you may repair 1 face-up damage card. And this just seems like a powerful all-round ship. And once again, I keep thinking back to, is this ship going to get tactical relays or not? Because it seems like a good brawler in and itself that could be flown alongside a swarm. Maybe alongside the other Rogue Class Starfighters. You fly these 2 initiative 4s together. I can see that being a potentially powerful thing. You know, flying it alongside hyenas and stuff like that, and it just being a good, powerful one-off ship. It doesn't synergize with other abilities, but repairing face-up damage cards is pretty powerful, and at no cost either. You just do it at the start of the system phase. Now, of course, there's always a possibility that you'll fly this and you don't get any face-up damage cards, and that's okay, I think. Just having this at Initiative 4 with a sometimes powerful and relevant ability is excellent. You know, just in terms of what it's doing, if it can take a card like Xanadu Blood and turn it into a bit of a brawler, it seems okay, just not brilliant. In terms of, like, Initiative 4 pilots on this faction, doesn't seem like any better than General Grievous, and doesn't really work alongside General Grievous because General Grievous is not a droid and takes focus tokens, so network calculations doesn't work. It just seems okay and powerful. Not an exciting ability, but potentially quite a powerful one. And finally, we have the Initiative 4 IG-102. While you defend, if the attacker's initiative is equal or greater to yours, you may change one blank result to an eyeball result. And this one seems very synergistic with what it wants to be doing with network calculations, because if you're utilizing and abusing network calculations, it means you're going to have ways of converting that eyeball result, which is just great. And if not, you can just take a calculate token anyway. It's a ship that actively wants your opponent to fly high initiative ships. Moving forward in this current meta, Initiative 4, 5, and 6 is still relatively common. Even if we do want to be flying more ships, it still seems like a very, very relevant ability. It basically, if you're consistently able to get network calculations to work, if you're flying a list that uses that, you're just improving a dice result on every single defense of this ship. It just seems like a solid option. Fly it alongside a bunch of Vulture droids, slap on the cannon, and away you go. You've got a decent ship. In terms of like the points for something like this, whether or not it's going to be like 4 or 5 points, it remains to be seen. It's times like this that I kind of lament the loss of granularity in AMG's design, because we have to sort of compare it to other things and like, is this better or worse than an X-Wing? Initiative 4, it's an okay ability. I'm thinking 4 points, but then we have to say, okay, but is it like 4 points without that cannon? It's got to have the cannon, right? We got to get that proton cannon on here. Maybe it's got to be 5 points and it's just in an awkward spot. That kind of annoys me somewhat. I don't hate the way AMG have done the points structure, but it does have this one obvious weakness, which I think is worth pointing out when analysing a card like this. Nevertheless, it seems really, really good. This is the most interesting card so far out of everything that we've seen. But I do have to again lament the fact that it doesn't seem to work that well with General Grievous, which is surely the point of these pilots. I don't know. I think out of everything so far, these droids in particular have made the strongest case for flying this ship in multiples. And, you know, we've got to talk about that because you have to buy 2 of these at once. So flying these 2 Initiative 4s alongside each other seems like a pretty legit strategy. Maybe with a Vulture Swarm, maybe with some hyenas or something. I don't know. But it seems like it's obviously synergistic. Annoyingly not so with General Grievous, or maybe these 2, Grievous and a few Vultures. Maybe that's okay. I don't know. Maybe just these 2 are General Grievous and they just ignore the synergy they don't get with Grievous because they have synergy with each other. Network Calculations is a very, very cool, flavorful ability, and I like that we're still seeing ships printed now that still have it. And more to the point, it actually makes the reality of having to buy 2 of these at once at the full cost of 2 small ships a little bit of an easier pill to swallow. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned. I dare say we'll have another Z95 article in the next few days at some stage. If you'd like to help further support the channel, there is a link down in the description to my channel's Patreon. Even if you'd just like to subscribe for $1, you'll get access to the Patreon Discord. And of course, thank you to everyone that has already done that. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things that make YouTube happy and get the algorithm pointing people towards my channel. Odd thing happened with the last video. I don't know why it was, but for some reason I was recommended my own video. That's the first time that's happened in a very long time. So yeah, the YouTube algorithm, a mystery to us all. So let's all like, comment, subscribe, and hope that I get recommended more of my own videos. Yeah, in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.